Okay, for this video, we're going to play around with how to apply texture as well as experimenting with complementary colors. So let's go ahead and jump right in. First, I have my sketchbook set up here, and I'm going to start with using a Pilot Kakuno fountain pen. Now, this really is a great pen to jump into fountain pen sketching with. It has a nice flow to the ink, and it makes a great consistent mark on the page. Now, a little tip is that I like to make sure that the end cap is on the back of the pen, and this just extends the length of that pen so it's easier for me to hold with the looser grip. And speaking of grips, since this is meant to be a practice sketch, I want you to observe how far back I'm holding that pen. And by using a loose grip like this, it's going to help me promote looser lines, and that's just going to translate to making it easier for me to rough in shapes quickly. Okay, as you can see, I've already started to draw in all of my primary lines. Basically, what I'm doing is drawing the shell of my building. Now, once I have the basic outline completed, I'm going to go back in and draw all of the elements, like the windows and doorways. Now, when I place these elements, I am going to be using the existing line work that's already on my page to help me kind of position those windows more accurately. My goal here is not to be perfect, but rather just to be close enough. Now, at this point, I'm not too focused on getting much of the detail down. Instead, I'm just trying to get the basic shapes of all of my elements drawn out. And once that's complete, that's when I can go back in and refine all of my line work. Now, at this point, I want to talk about the refinement stage. You'll notice that I'm going back over pretty much every single line that I put down. This just allows me to draw a little bit more of a confident line and also straighten out any lines or make additional adjustments as needed. Now, this is also the point where I'll start to add the detail work back in. For example, on the roof line here, I'm going to start to add the thickness of the roof by drawing an extra line. Now, I'll continue to make my way around the building following these steps. When I get to the other elements, I'll stop and focus on them for a bit. For example, this little overhang here above the door is where I'm going to take some time to draw that out. You can see that there are a couple of beams and a slanted roof here that's going to take form. Now, as I make my way around to the windows on the side of the building here, I'm going to use a technique where I'm drawing in the window glass first and leaving the negative space to make up the window pane. Due to the extreme perspective that these windows are in, if I were to try to draw out the actual line work, I could get a dense mess of lines, so instead, I'm just trying to look at the negative spaces that those windows make up, and I'll fill those in. And I'll be using a similar technique on the skylight as well. Now, for the rest of the windows, they're large enough where I can focus on the positive lines, which is what you're going to see me do. And I'll just go ahead and finish each window one by one. You'll notice that I'll use extra lines on the windowsills just to thicken them up, and around the edges of the windows too, to imply depth. It's this small detail that can really make that window feel like it has a little bit more dimension. And as you practice these sketches, you'll start to realize how much detail you need to include. Oftentimes you'll find that you really don't need a lot of line work to imply detail. And when we get to the roof, you'll see me demonstrate that. Okay, at this point, I'm going to move over to the bay window here, and using the same techniques that I drew for the other windows, I'll go ahead and draw this one out. Now, what's unique about this window is that the mullions, or that framework, is a little more intricate than the simple window panes I drew earlier. So I'm going to have to draw those differently. So what I'm going to do is try to draw those out at the same time, and this is just an attempt to make sure I'm drawing them out as symmetrical as I can. Okay, now once I wrap up all of the line work and the detail work on my building face, I'm going to move over and start to add my shadow lines. Now, these are your basic hatch lines that run up and down the face of the building to imply that this building face is in shadow. If you're familiar with any of my videos, you'll notice that this is a technique that I like to add to a lot of my buildings. And the reason is I think it just adds a lot of texture and interest. Now, speaking of texture, I'm going to address the roof texture here, and I want to talk to you about how I approach this. As you can see from my reference photo, the roof texture is pretty intricate, and I knew that I'm not going to draw out every single line that I see. So instead, I need to come up with an approach that's easy to draw but still gives the impression of that tile texture. Now, what I'm doing is I'm observing the roof as a whole. I'm trying to see what sticks out, and what I'm seeing are these long, straight lines that run down the roof. This seems to be the primary texture. So it's those long lines that I'll add, and you'll see me do that all the way down each side of the roof. Now, you'll notice that when I get to that roof that looks like it's in sunlight, the one that's pointed toward our light source, I will skip those lines. And the reason for this is that I didn't want to overwhelm that surface with a lot of dark line work since it's meant to be in light. And now with my line work done, the next stage is to go back over and try to imply that tile work. And I'm going to do that with some line work that runs across the face of the roof, across those existing roof lines. Now, in our reference photo, it almost looks like the roof is a grid, but I knew if I tried to draw that out, it wouldn't translate in the sketch. So instead, I'm going to be very selective about which cross lines I'm adding. And I'm almost adding them as a dashed line effect and only in certain areas of the roof. I'm really not trying to cover the whole roof with these lines, but just give it enough texture toward the bottom and the corners of each roof surface. And that's to help imply just that little bit of texture. And really, that's all you need. Your eyes will take care of the rest, and your mind will perceive a consistent texture throughout. Okay, now that we're done with the roof, it's on to coloring. For the coloring, I'm going to be primarily using only two colors, an orange and a purple. Since these colors are complementary colors, they're going to add a little bit more interest to my scene than if we were just to use, say, a darker version of that orange color. Now, you will also see me add additional colors, and that's just going to help neutralize some of the vibrance in my coloring. But the first thing I'm going to do is use that orange color to color my entire house. Now, I'm going to use a medium tan color, and this is that other color that's going to help me neutralize that orange color in the shadows of my building. And it's also going to help darken that up a little bit as well. Okay, once that's done, I'm going to start to take several passes, introducing a purple tone to the building. Also, where needed, you'll see me go back in and darken up some of the areas with a deeper tan color. As I continue to color the rest of the building, I'm just going to be jumping back and forth, layering my colors where needed. I'll darken some of the shaded areas with more neutral colors, or I'll increase the vibrancy by layering my orange colors. You'll also notice that in selective spots, I will add some purple. For example, when I address the windows. It's this little touch of purple that will contrast nicely with the orange. And then when I'm ready to wrap up my coloring, I'll just finish it off by using my deep purple shadow color in all of the shaded areas, layering it over that orange color. This is the Copic marker BV17, which I've added an Amazon link in the description of this video below if you're interested. But if you've watched a lot of my videos, you'll notice that this is the color that I like to use a lot for shadows. And the reason is because it does a great job making my shadows pop and making them feel more dynamic. Okay, to finish my scene, I'm just going to go back over several of the areas and deepen the shadows around the roof line and underneath the windowsills and pretty much any area that has a corner where a shadow can get tucked under. And that's it. That's my final scene. I was able to use selective line strokes to imply texture, as well as to play around with complementary colors to produce a fun and unique sketch. I hope you're enjoying these types of videos, and if you haven't already, please give this a like and subscribe.